High Fiber Sports NFC North Breakdown.
Welcome in, beautiful people, to another divisional breakdown from High Fiber Sports. This week, we're changing up a little bit. As you can see, my normal compadres are missing, so I figured I'd get all the people from where I'm from because they're all NFC North fans. And as you guessed it, it's the NFC North this week. Well, we've got a new one on here. Patrick, why don't you introduce ourselves? First time on the pod. Love to have you. What brought you here? Where are you at right now? And how do you know us?
Well, thank you, Brad, first of all, for the introduction. A big sports fan from Minnesota. You'll find that I'm not the most diehard of Vikings, and maybe I'm pessimistic, but given our history, there's a reason to be so. But actually, no, the friend group here, I actually got to meet Nolan later on in college, and then through him, obviously, get to meet yourself and also Matt, and just happen to stick to each other. For whatever reason that might be, here we are today.
Heck yeah, we're actually in a fantasy football group that's been going on for God knows. Nolan, you were the one that started it, right?
I think we're year 15, maybe 16.
Crazy. Yeah.
So I think I've got 3 championships. Patrick, you've got a couple. Matt, Brad, do you have any?
I feel like I've won it once.
I know I haven't.
I've been in the top 3 plenty of times.
I used to do a lot better. I don't know. Maybe with
I haven't
age
won
I've
in a
gotten
decade,
crazier.
Brad, so
Yeah,
Hey,
dude.
Brad, you want to go get the belt right now and show you what it looks like? I can do that.
Yeah, you can, and then you can shove it up your ass, actually, is what you could do with it. That'd be great.
Weren't you
All
the
right.
original commissioner of the league, Nolan?
I was the original
I
commissioner,
think
but
so.
you all are shit people, and it's like herding cats, and so I pawned that off on Nate.
I don't blame you at all, dude. It's a hell of a lot of work. I joined the one Matt does with all his buddies this year. They've got one that's like 15 years long, too. And just the type of crap. You see the text message conversations. You got to put them away. You know, there's so much, and you got to answer all those? Nah, man. I'm out.
I do have to say our league is the easiest, though. I'm in 2 other leagues, and the keepers are like, get your abacus and your visor and your calculator out. All these freaking rules, and it's extending players. I'm like, I don't play fantasy football for that shit. Give me something to yell at the TV at on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. That's one of the best parts about fantasy football. It gets like your tertiary fans to root a little bit more or get you interested in games that aren't involving your teams. That's why it's football season. I mean, we just had a great college football weekend, too. I mean, I'm stoked. I don't know about you guys. Thursday, baby. We get going for the NFL. Well, on the topic, let's get rocking and rolling. Okay, last year's standings, I don't think there was a bunch of surprises, but I'll run through them here. Top of the NFC North last year was the Detroit Lions. They finished the year 15-2, losing to the Commanders in the divisional round. Followed by them was the Minnesota Vikings. They finished the year 14-3. They ended up getting their doo-doo pushed in by the Rams in the wild card round. Then the Packers, they finished the year 11-6, lost also in the wild card round to the Eagles. So basically, most of this division made the playoffs. Then it was the Bears, finishing in the cellar at 5-12. All right, well, I'm going to start with the newbie here, and your Vikings having kind of a breakout season, QB transition. What'd you think of last year in the NFC North, Patrick?
Well, to be honest, it's kind of what I expected. With Sam Darnold coming in, great. Obviously, that's a consistent quarterback, right? Not going to be a flashy one. Just going to be almost like a Brock Purdy. Just get the job done. But when it matters the most,
I'm going to burn your house down for that comparison. But continue.
Fair, yeah, but honestly, time and time again, I don't know how many quarterbacks have gone through who have, age on them. I think about like Rich Gannon, Jeff George, Brad Johnson twice, Reynold Cunningham. I mean, we just can't seem to find that franchise quarterback. We just, and obviously when it gets to the time when it matters the most, we just can't get over the hurdle. And maybe, again, this is kind of my pessimistic, and just because this is what it is. I remember 98 and Gary Anderson, you only missed field goal the entire year. I'm like, well, why am I continuing to root for him? People who are fans, sorry, but I'm just not one of those guys where I want to start seeing some sort of progress. If I can maybe, I don't know, win around divisional game, whatnot. I mean, yeah, how we finished this season, I think was a shock to everybody. High hopes for JJ going into the season. I still don't know. I really think that people are projecting him to be very high. We got some more tools, some more weapons, but I don't know. I can't say with certainty. So I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon quite yet to say we'll repeat, 14-3. I'd say if we're 8-10-7, I consider that a great year for us.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Nolan, what'd you think of last year? Your Packers, how they played? We'll get into our projections for next year here in a bit. But what'd you think of last year? How it played out? How your Packers finished?
It's a meat grinder of division. The Packers, youngest team in the league. We've got a quarterback again, which I still don't know how we have had luck to have, back to back to back, two Hall of Fame quarterbacks and then one all right quarterback so far. He's young still, but we haven't had the drop off. We haven't had to go through this, somebody stumbling around back there like most teams do. So, that goes a long way in the NFL's competent quarterback play, if not better than competent. And the Packers have been a wealth of riches in that over the last 25 years. So that is the luck side of it. But we are a really young team. The Packers stay pretty disciplined in their draft strategy, disciplined in their contracts. Although we just rolled out the red carpet, I'm feeling pretty rock hard about Micah Parsons coming to the Packers.
Well,
so
we'll get there. There.
So young team, tough division, played pretty well, made the playoffs. You really can't complain about that. I know Matt's probably going to touch on the Packers a little bit too, being a Packers fan as well. But I was kind of a closet Detroit Lions fan last year.
All right.
You love that coach. You love what's going on there. You love it for that city just because they've been down for so long. And that coach is so likable. He cares about his players. He cares about the city. And he just wants to play football. You can tell he's there to have a good time, to win, to leave it all out there. And that draws you to it. So even as a divisional foe, I was rooting for him. They had a team last year, and the injuries that they suffered, they should have gone all the way if they wouldn't have been decimated on defense. And then they played that well, even being that snake bitten with injury. So
it's testament to the coach for sure.
I'd like to say they could repeat that again this year, but I think they had a little luck in the win category. But I also think they had a little unfortunate accidents with the injury. So maybe those will wash out and they'll be just as good this year.
Fair enough. Well, Matt, what'd you think last year of your NFC North, how the Packers finished, and how, the best team? I wondered how long it was going to take. It's like, is anyone going to bring up the team that won the damn division? Thanks.
Yeah, kind of touching on Nolan's point with the little bit of luck there for the top two teams, the Vikings and the Lions. I forget the stat I saw, but it was something like 13-3 in one-score games. And that's usually not a sustainable type of win strategy, is to barely come out on top on one-score games. So I expect to see a little bit of regression between those teams with a new quarterback, new offensive and defensive coordinators for the Lions. But obviously they had fantastic seasons. Awesome to see them both, all three of the teams get into the playoffs. I think that's the most a division can send. I don't know if you can get all four with, I guess 3 wildcard spots. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling now.
Yeah, but I'd still like to see how the math would have to add up. You'd really have to, the other teams in all the other divisions would have to be mediocre too, yeah.
And you'd have to win all your non-division games and then somehow come out with a weird split of round robin within the division.
I would like to see if that's even possible. I'm sure there's something online to figure that out.
But the Packers had a great year, I thought, last year. It's always good to get into the playoffs. Of course, when you go against the Eagles round one, future Super Bowl champions, it's tough to say we had a bad game against them. It wasn't our best game. It wasn't clean by any stretch of the imagination, but we stayed in it. And it was, again, nice to be in the playoffs. Jordan Love, who's battling injury all season, had a decent year, put some good film out there, and think he'll be just as good, if not better, this year. So,
not that it changed the game, but how does everybody feel about the tush push? The Eagles get within 2 yards of a first down, and it's pretty much guaranteed. Two
Mhm.
yards of a touchdown, pretty much guaranteed. Are we on board with
Stop it.
this?
Stop it, bitch. Of course you're a Packers fan. You're the team that complained to the fucking league about this shit. Wow, you're on
Yeah,
their
but
side?
also over half the league said, yeah, we should ban the
Hmm.
tush push. It was yes, the Packers brought it to the league as
Stop
a
them.
whole.
Stop them. They've been doing it before last year, and they won. Okay, they did 2 years previous. Another team stopped them. Okay, they didn't win it all then. So knock it off. You guys are just better. Your team sucks. Um, all right. Speaking of shitty teams, how about we move over to shitty players? We're gonna start with our bust and sleeper predictions. Mix it up. Nolan, why don't we start with you? Give me your biggest bust and sleeper for the NFC North this year.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the obvious. There's some obvious players that had breakouts last year that are still really young and could continue that this year. So I'm going to kind of stay away from those as kind of the obvious picks. But starting with my sleepers, a couple I'm going to pick are actually non-Packers players. I'm going to go with a probably late round. He's not going to win you the league, but he's going to be the guy that maybe gets you that bye week cover. He's going to be the guy going forward that you keep in a dynasty. And I'm probably going to butcher his last name here, but his first name's Isaac to Slay. He's a wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. He's come on as their number 3 wide receiver this spring, um, and he has gotten a lot of play. He's popped in every single one of their preseason games. It looks like he's going to slot in as the X receiver. You have Amon Ra obviously playing the slot because he's one of the best slot receivers in the league. And then you do have Gibbs and you have some other folks there, but in a pass heavy offense, somebody's got to get the targets. So I think this guy could be the guy that he's not going to be that week in week out 16-point player, but he's going to be able to cover for you. He's going to have some of those pop games, and I think he's a good keeper going forward that you can probably get in the double digit rounds. The other one, I'm going to go to Minnesota, and I'm going to say that it is Jordan Mason. And
Okay.
I think he is going to end up leading the Minnesota backfield next year or this year and will rush for the most yards, the most TDs, and have the most carries. Came over from Brad's 49ers as the backup to CMC. And I just think that that's probably where it's going to go, given Aaron Jones's age and workload. And that's a running backs are a dime a dozen in fantasy. They get hurt so often. Timeshare now. There's no bell cow backs anymore. And I just like his upside, given his speed, given his explosive play capabilities, that I think he's the back to own for the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, thank you. Nolan did say he watched the previous divisional breakdowns where we asked for one sleeper in case you take someone else's, and then that way they have one. So nice job. Okay, speaking of shitting the bed, who shits the bed in fantasy this year, Nolan? One.
I'm gonna have to go to the Bears. I don't believe in Caleb Williams. I do not.
Ooh.
I think he's probably an okay player. I think he in the right situation. I just think there's so much dysfunction with the Bears in general. And then again, he's having a lackluster preseason and he's calling out his offensive line, calling out his coach, everybody but inward. It doesn't matter whose fault it actually is. If you are the guy, the quarterback, it's your fault, whether it's somebody else's or not. You look at the big guys, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, any of those quarterbacks, they're taking it on themselves, whether it was somebody else or not. And that's just not a good look. It doesn't breed confidence for me that he's the guy that he's going to take a step forward. Athletically, sure, got all the tools. I just don't think it's there between the ears, and I don't think it's there culturally compared to the rest of the meat grinder of the division that the North is going to be.
Right.
So
Fair enough. You had me worried there for a second. I thought you said N-word, not inward. I was like, whoa, Nolan. Not that kind of podcast, buddy. All right. Matt, who you got? Sleeper, bust for the NFC North. Give it to us.
For my sleeper, I'm going to go the homer route. I'm going to go with the Packers, and I'm
Shocker.
going to say Matthew Golden. Um, I think him being the first receiver taken in the first round by the Packers since Javon Walker. I think we're going to be an offensive team. Keep pushing that route. I think our defense is vastly improved with the acquisition of Micah Parsons. I'm sure we'll get there, but I think we're still going to be an offensive team. Jordan Love being healthy this year, I think they're going to try to feed him the ball. I think he's going to get plenty of chances, and with the way he's played in practice and preseason, I'm very hopeful for him. I think he'll be a good receiver.
All right. Who's shitting
Better or
the
worse than Jordy Nelson?
You know I'm not going to go there. I love Jordy Nelson,
That's
but
a little insider joke with our fantasy league there. Matt
mean,
used
I
to
first
say
pick this year, I
Jordan
guarantee
Nelson
it.
every year, even after he retired. He would still
you
select
got
him.
to. He's still that good.
Too funny.
I love that pick, Matt, but he has got to change his number. That looks awkward out there.
Ooh, Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
He's 0 now. Once Micah
Oh, he
Parsons,
changed it? He was like
yeah,
22, wasn't he?
he was 22, but he's 0 now.
Okay, that
First
looks
ever
better.
Packer to have that number.
All right. Well, who's pooping?
I'm gonna change the rules of the game a little bit here. I don't think he's gonna be a bad running back. I just think he's going to regress from where he finished the season last year.
That's fair. That counts.
I'm going with Jameer Gibbs. I think between losing Frank Ragnow, I believe it was their right guard to the Titans, new offensive coordinator, David Montgomery healthy. I just don't think he's going to put up quite the same numbers as he was towards the end of last season. Um, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I kind of like the Lions. They're the lovable loser for so long that you kind of want to see them have some success. But that's where I'm going to say a little bit of a bust. He's going to get drafted higher than what I think his value is actually going to prove.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Patrick, what you thinking? I could see your reaction with the Jordan Mason one.
Well,
hence
actually,
why I had to dig Nolan. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny actually. He wasn't my pick until this morning when I read the paper. But I feel like Hawkinson now he's healthy, right? He's kind of gained that step he lost last year. Yes, he was injured, didn't play in the preseason. I think was out until November. Even he admitted that he just wasn't, to where it is. And again, being more so of a novice in football, but with JJ, so many unknowns. We've seen him practice time and time again. He can't throw the deep ball, right? And it's like, in my mind, you have two burners and Addison when he comes back. We brought back Thielen. He's going to need that kind of the slant and kind of in the slot like a Hawkinson, right? As more of protection. Yeah. So I feel like Hawkinson can actually maybe overperform, maybe can consider like what we think he can do, right? And we've not had really good, tight ends, and I know tight end you in Iowa and LaForda and whatnot, but it's like we've not utilized a tight end very well in a while. And I think that could be a nice kind of blanket for JJ as he continues to kind of grow and develop. So
always good to have that security blanket at tight end for those young quarterbacks, no doubt, dude.
Exactly. And then
I think that's also a really good pick with the wide receiver room troubles you got there. You got injuries, you got a suspension.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Thielen is a Vikings favorite, but he's how old now?
Yeah, he's old. He's lost a few steps. He's more of a kind of protection safety blanket, which again I don't mind, right? But yes, there's still some question marks. But kind of along the same lines that Matt said is maybe not really a bust, but maybe regression. I do think it will be Jordan Jefferson, just because JJ's right now we don't know, right? We don't have a full year and of understanding can he throw the deep ball on the time, on the numbers. Again, I've seen videos that he just throws interceptions, overthrows. Is he antsy in the pocket? We don't know, right? This kid has never been in an actual regular season, pocket. He doesn't know and feel the full force like maybe you can see in preseason. Doesn't matter. Now is when you put up for shutout. So, I mean, he may regress maybe to still 1,000 yards, but maybe, right? I just don't see him doing a 1,500 yard season and 10, 12 touchdowns. So, not saying that he won't be involved. Might be more kind of that slants over the middle, but I just don't see it right now. And we also have Carson Wentz. I mean, so, my dad and I were talking this morning going, how many more weeks does O'Connell put up with, JJ? I'm just saying there's so many unknowns right now, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think right now the body of work,
Carson Wentz is putting up jerseys just like old Jameis Winston at this point, man. He's
well,
on a new team every couple of weeks.
It's the Vikings MO. We bring players out that have been on 4-6 teams.
Case Keenum? I mean, what's up?
Minnesota Miracle? Yeah. So I'm saying, but again, that's just kind of the history. So anyway.
Fair. No, fair. All right. Well, we've got the fantasy shit out of the way. Actually, I guess I'll give you guys mine because I was thinking, I guess mine was going to be Jordan Mason, as Nolan said. I agree with him there. As you know, when I see a team trade for a specific player when they have aging players at that room, I have a feeling there's going to be some split time there. Aaron Jones is, I think, 31 this year. So
31.
he's getting up there. I think Mason averaged like 5.2 yards a carry or something like that. Something pretty impressive. So I have a feeling he's going to take a big share of that backfield. So that was my sleeper. Or since you took that one, I guess I'll go with the Colston Loveland tight end for the Bears. Just same kind of points you were making, Patrick. Caleb Williams, security blanket, new head coach with Ben Johnson there. And they must have really thought a lot of him to draft him before Tyler Warren. I didn't understand that, but they must think he's a stud. So I could see him coming out being a sleeper. Bust. I mean, this one's the easiest one out of all. It's Jordan Love. It's just the most overrated. Like, you realize he basically had the same numbers as Caleb Williams last year. Get out of my face. Show me something. He's had one good year. Like,
Got to look
ugh.
at the advanced metrics, Brad.
Yeah. Well, how about
There's only one
wins?
metric that matters, and it's wins.
Yep. That's the only one. He ain't doing enough of it. So, I don't know. I'm not buying. He choked like Darno. Like, I just don't have trust in him. I think people think every year they're like, oh, he's going to win an MVP this year. Well, have a season similar to Brock Purdy's best season, then come talk to me, okay? You haven't even done that yet. So, stop. Now that I went on my little rant, what do you guys think about this year's standings? Where do you think it's going to end up? Talk about, off-season moves. How's it going to play out? This time, let's start with Matt.
Sounds great. NFC North, I think every team in this division will land someplace around 10 wins, to be real honest. I think probably, unfortunately, the Bears are going to be the lower end of things. I think between the Vikings and Packers, someplace in the middle, and I still think the Lions come out on top this year. I think they have the most not consistent, but they've carried a lot of their players over from last year. Their defense has gotten healthy again. Had a
Hutchinson
chance
back.
to,
Yeah.
yep, all that good stuff.
Hmm.
I think they finish on top. I think Packers, Vikings, someplace in the middle. And I do think the
Well,
Bears are going to
well,
be
give
towards the
me
tail
the
end.
standing. Don't give me the middle. Give me 1, 2, 3, 4.
You know I'm going to pick the Packers as second.
Yeah.
Lions,
Okay.
Packers,
All right.
Vikings,
Yeah.
Bears.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I kind of figured.
But I
All
can see that
right.
flopping.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm with you. I get it. Like this. I think it's going to be tight. Nolan, thoughts?
Biggest thing in the NFL. I mean, you look at college yesterday. You look at the betting. I'm a big college football fan. The biggest thing in the NFL that makes it different is parity. The
Yeah.
worst team to the best team is so small in the entire NFL.
Hmm.
It's the only league that's like that. I think we talked about it on the previous pod I was on, that MLB doesn't have that, and that's what makes it hard to watch.
But you did
NFL's
show that
got it.
basketball does have it. You
Yes,
did break
basketball
it
has
down
it as
very
well,
nicely, by the way.
and bringing that in, and the NFL is still the cream of the crop as far as that parity is concerned. So when you have that, I have to go with consistency. I have to go with the track record. And so I think there's the haves and have-nots in that so far. Now, don't get me wrong, this could be flipped on its head because there's a lot of questions here. So it was after the Micah Parsons trade, because I got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Big splash for the Packers because they don't do that. Big splash because it's Micah Parsons, a player that good doesn't normally get traded in the NFL. And so that could shake up the whole North. I had to put my realistic hat on here. I still think the Packers are going to be really good. I think the Lions are going to be really good. Both made the playoffs last year. There's a little regression to the mean with the Lions just because Ben Johnson was a hell of a coordinator for them last year. I think he's going to be a good head coach. That might right the ship in Chicago. Probably not year one, but I think that's going to be a big loss for the Lions. So Lions still going to be really good. Yeah, I think 10 to 12, 13 wins, which is a lot of wins in a really tough division.
Mm-hmm.
I do have them edging the Packers just because as much as I do think Jordan Love is still the answer for Green Bay, you're right. He's played injured. He's played poorly some, he's played inconsistently maybe rather than poorly. So show me something, but I do think those two are the top half, cream of the crop. I flip-flop back and forth after Micah Parsons. Before Micah Parsons, it was 100% Detroit, Green Bay. Now I was a little closer, but I'm still going to stick with Detroit, Green Bay. The bottom two, it's quarterback. JJ plays well. Vikings got a shot. Caleb Williams plays well. They got a shot. I don't think either one of them dethrones the Lions, but they got a shot to get in a wild card. They got a shot for second. So I'm gonna go with the exact one that Matt went actually, and go Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago. But it's really a splitting hairs on here.
Nah, getting it's pretty tight. I figured you were into edging. Okay, Patrick, you're up.
Well, not to piggyback off of what Matt and also Nolan said, but I think the trajectory. Well, I'm saying the trajectory is there, right? There's too many unknowns, and the Vikings schedule this year is brutal, right? And just we don't have the consistency. Like I wish we had a Jordan Love type quarterback, because he's obviously been through the ups and the downs, the bumps and the bruises, but he's been in the pocket. He has been the guy for a number of years. And I even saw some pundits on Friday say that the Bears might actually edge Minnesota for third. And, to be honest, like I said, our schedule does not line up for another, 14-3, season we had last year. So to me, Detroit definitely up there. Green Bay with Micah definitely kind of puts the defense probably more in the line of the microscope, probably for the positive. I think even with all our moves and reinforcing, both offensive, defensive line, Brian Flores, we know is a great coordinator. Still, we need to put points on the board, right? And if we can't do that, that's going to lend to some serious issues down the road. So I'm in agreement. I hate to say it. It's going to be Detroit, Green Bay, and then like I said, maybe Caleb Williams does finally shut up and actually starts throwing the rock, right, very well. I mean, he's got some new tools. I mean, I've heard that new tight end and Williams are gelling, which, again, is a great thing to see. I mean, I like to say is I want to see all of us do well, right? It's a representation of what the NFC North is, the stalwarts from, the history that we have across the board. I mean, I know you're shaking your head, Brad, but for me,
I don't like the teams in my division. I want them all to lose every game.
Well, that's fair. But I mean, ultimately, if we can't do it, I like to have that kind of NFC North representation. But anyway, so it's one of those things where I think it's going to be a toss-up between the Vikings and the Bears. I mean, to Nolan's point, JJ does well. We might have a shot at the second, but given our schedule, we're going to be over in Ireland playing against, Pittsburgh, and then the next weekend in London against the Browns. What does that do for a team? I don't know. So, not being pessimistic, but being realistic and just saying, I think the number 3 slot for us is probably where we're going to be at. And then, of course, the Bears, again, could be a 3-4 flip, but I think it's the two top teams, which we expect them to be, is Detroit and Green Bay.
No, I totally get it. When I was looking at this, I actually thought this was definitely the hardest division breakdown that I've had so far as picking where people stand in it. Honestly, without the Micah Parsons trade, I had Packers in last place. But after that, I was like, I can't after that one. I was going to pull the trigger on that. Not that I really believed it, but I do believe in their ability to suck. And so I was really hoping for that one this year, but I don't think it's going to end up that way. Detroit, I'm kind of where Matt was in the beginning. I could see all these teams being around 10 wins. I think it's going to be, you probably get a wild card team in there just because they're all going to have close to winning records. I think the Lions have enough with guys getting back and healthy. I'm worried about the coordinator situation. I do think they're going to win again. Behind them, I have a surprise team. Again, speaking of coordinators, Ben Johnson. I think he puts it together on offense there, and I think the Bears pull it out, get that second place finish there.
Nate slipping you some money under the table, or what's the situation there?
Yeah, he pays me to say this stuff since he's not here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured you got to make money somehow on this podcast. So.
Yeah, exactly. The other two teams, I mean, Packers could win the whole damn thing. I'm not dumb. I realize that. First time they draft a number 1 wide receiver. Like I said, I don't believe in Jordan Love yet. I don't understand. The only thing that I've been shown is advanced metrics in 1/2 of a year where he was awesome. And so, I need to see more before I say, perennial, at the top. And the Vikings have been doing it with players or different quarterbacks, like Patrick was saying, and getting 14 wins. So they could win it too. I don't know. But my standings are going to be Lions, Bears, Packers, and Vikings. And again, Vikings win the whole thing. I have no idea. This one's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait for it to get started. Well, before we get out of here, boys, any last predictions, things you want to say to the folks out there before we close this one off?
The Niners suck.
Come on. You got more than that. You got any... you say that. Is that because we beat you in the playoffs every single year that we match up with you? Is that why you're better still?
Well, obviously. And they've had a really good run, though, too. And I know you're a huge fan. It's great to see Brock Purdy, the last pick, getting up there. He got a contract. We talked about this, I think, a little bit in a chat. I don't think we did it on here, but they were rocking a hard place this year with that contract. I think the window is still open, but it's closing because of how much money and how much you were saving on a quarterback by having that contract. CMC's injury history, but they're still a really good team. I do think that window's probably closing a little bit for them, but it's good to see Brock get the money. It's good to see a guy with Iowa State ties doing well out there, but I just hate you, so I hate the Niners. So
that makes sense. Yeah, my mom always says that too. Patrick, Matt, what do we got? Final thoughts on this division, the NFL in general?
I think for me, it's always been, sorry, Matt, it's always been like the first week, we're on the road against Chicago, right at home on Monday night or prime time. So that's going to kind of kick off for the NFC North. But I really want to see, what happens with Washington right this year. They were so close, obviously, with Jaden Daniels. What is his sophomore season?
Exciting, yeah.
Will he have the sophomore slump? The curse, obviously he just geared up with Debo, Debo Samuel, obviously McLaurin got his contract extension. So, they're retooled. Can they continue that? I mean, I like to say is I kind of selfishly want to see a Dallas implosion and just to kind of see the Jerry Jones, just the circus just keep going around and around in circles.
Yes.
But for me, I think I really want to see the AFC. Like I'm still a closet Joe Burrow fan. Like when Cincinnati, I think they just have that grit and determination. I really want to see can he put another season together when he took him to a Super Bowl. I think
hell yeah.
I think to me the AFC is really going to be kind of that what if, and I really there's some teams that you hope don't do well, but I kind of want to see maybe Cincinnati, maybe like a Detroit, kind of Super Bowl. Both a bit Cincinnati obviously is losing, just like Vikings 0-4, I think, or so. And kind of have all those things where whoever wins it will have the very first one and be in lore in history forever.
Oh yeah. Well, and you bring up a really good point. The young quarterback play kind of defines the NFL right now, and it kind of makes it exciting because your team can turn around. Matt, final thoughts on this year? What you got for us?
Yeah, I'm super excited for week one. Kind of to Patrick's point, Packers play the Lions week one, so it'll be awesome to see how that stacks up, see how we compare to a team that has won the division last year, and see where we're at. Also would say, it is week one, can't put a whole lot of stock into one game. Obviously you'd like to win it, but that doesn't determine the entire 17 game stretch. So, it's going to be exciting to see how we stack up. However it turns out, I'm still hopeful for the rest of the season. I think there's a lot of good matchups out there, and it is kind of fun to see all the different the parity that we were talking about earlier in the league. I mean, sure, you have your Eagles and your Chiefs who have been on top for a good chunk of time now. But it does seem like there's other teams that are right there neck and neck with everybody, and it really could be a Super Bowl between two teams that haven't been there before or haven't been there in a long time.
No, for sure. Excited for the season to start. Excited for our fantasy draft, boys. I'll see you there tomorrow. All right?
Absolutely.
Totally.
Well, thanks, boys, for coming on, for helping me out with this divisional breakdown. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And being that I am in control of the editing, the Packers are going to bench Jordan Love, and Malik Willis is going to take over because he sucks.